Welcome to our fourth episode of Zombie Talk. Today's episode includes Hall of Famer Rick Barry, Zombies GM, head coach Brian Stasaitis, and Zombie point
Stasaitis. We're working on that.
Stasaitis. I'm so sorry, Brian. Stasaitis and Zombie point guard entering his third season with the team, Robby Jones. Guard Robby Jones averaged 11 points and 3 rebounds. The commitment that he makes on the defensive end and is a strong asset, and always provides a spark and energy for his teammates. He is a leader both on the court and off the court with his strong work ethic and desire to work hard and desire to win. I'm glad to have you guys. Welcome, Robby. Welcome, Rick. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. We're excited to be here for sure.
So my big question for Robby is, so how many assists did you average, Robby?
If it was up to me, I mean, I think I'm a pass first guard for sure. So I mean, I don't know what the stats were.
Here's the problem. Let me interject. And sorry for interrupting you, but I'll interject so people understand and know. Your assists are not necessarily an indication of how good a passer you are. It's an indication of whether or not your teammates can make freaking shots. That's
I agree.
I mean, so statistics can be very misleading at times. I mean, you might have a low number of assists, but if the guys made the shots that you created for them, it's liable to be double the amount that you have. So you have to kind of see the game to understand and do it. So I'm looking forward to seeing, although I was just doing that to have some fun with you because I actually saw some footage of you and I like your game. I like the way you see the floor and you will get the ball to people and you are a pass first point guard, which is the way it really should be. I don't know where the hell this thing came up with the scoring point guard all of a sudden, Jesus, I don't want to play with a scoring point guard. I want the passing point guard.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I feel like, these times it's very difficult. I mean, it's very rare to find a pass first guard. And I'm not even just talking about myself. I'm talking about, I'm getting older now. I'm starting to, help younger kids. And a lot of the point guards that I'm, helping, their first thought is, how can I score the ball? And it's like, sometimes you don't realize how much more damage you do when your mind is just, I'm going to get mine and not set my team up to be in a good position to score the ball in general.
And what they don't understand and realize is that if you play the way with the mentality of pass first, you're going to eventually create more opportunities for yourself to score because they know you're going to pass. They're going to be trying to anticipate that. And then you're going to be able to get to the basket because people aren't going to leave their people to try to help. And you're going to be able to beat your guy and get to the basket. So you will score more points by having the mentality of being a guy that wants to pass it first. So that's the thing that these young kids don't understand. And then, you see the guys who are putting up the crazy numbers and they get the big point totals, but it's about winning. I mean, what do you have to do to win? That's what it really comes down to. And so I think you'll find, for you young kids that are listening in on this and you're a point guard, you'll find that you'll get more enjoyment out of making a really great pass to a teammate for an easy basket than you do scoring yourself. And it's kind of like being Santa Claus and handing out the gifts. I mean, you get a lot of kids happy because Santa gives a lot of gifts out. If Santa was just wanting to get gifts for himself, Christmas wouldn't be what it is. I mean, it's just a great thing. You keep everybody happy. Everybody wants to score who plays the game. There's no doubt about that. And so you just kind of divvy up the goodies, give a guy one here, another guy here. And guys will work harder too to get themselves open, realizing that, hey, you know what, if I work and move and smart, I'm going to get a lot of opportunities. That was my way. My first year after I came out of college, I led the league in the nation in scoring. And we didn't necessarily, we had shooting guard. I mean, my two guards that played there, these guys, they thought they were in range when they crossed half court. It's kind of amazing that I averaged 37 points a game or whatever the hell it was in college with the team that I had, because all my guys, I had 4 guys on my team that all thought they were in range over half court. And if we had a 3-point shot, we scored 99 a game back in college, 99 with no 3-point shot. And I am telling you, if we had a 3-point shot, No, I'm telling you, if we had a 3-point shot, it would have been 110 or more. I guarantee you, because these guys could shoot the hell out of it. But the thing about it is that when I went to the pros, I played with Guy Rogers, who was a great point guard, but he was a passer. He'd love to get assists. And so I just ran my butt off. I was good moving without the basketball. I got so many easy baskets getting out on the break and getting easy layups and stuff. And that's the thing you have to understand is that a guard who might not even be a passing first, point guard, like let's take, and when he was with Houston, okay, James Harden. If I played with James Harden would have to pass me the ball because he would look really bad if I'm moving and I'm leaving my man and running to the basket and I'm wide open and he's got the ball and he doesn't throw it to me. He's going to look really bad. And it's real noticeable that when you see a teammate cutting to the basket wide open and your point guard has the ball and he doesn't throw it to you, he's not going to look very good. And people are going to say, what the hell is that? So yeah, that's the way you want to play the game, play it unselfishly. That's why the Warriors are doing what they do. That's why Steph Curry is good. Yeah, he gets a lot of 40-point games, but it's not because he's out there looking to score. He's out there looking to see people, and he knows that people are after him, and he does take some really tough shots, but he's not selfish. He's not a selfish player. He's not a guy that's a score-first guy, because if it was a score-first guy, he'd be scoring a lot of 50-point games, as great as he shoots the basketball. So anyway, I'm looking forward to, seeing you guys play. And so let's find out how do you think things are going right now as far as with the tryouts and everything with the personnel that's showing up?
Robbie, you want to take that or you want me to address that first?
I mean, I can give you my input from, basically, going into the year, it's actually going to be a really different type of environment. We lost a couple key guys, but ultimately I think we have a core group that, we've been together. We've been on the road. We've gone through battles. We've gone through our ups and downs. So I think this year definitely is going to be an adjustment, but again, I think, preparing for the year, it also gave me more fire to kind of, still excel at my position and at my, any way I can help the team. So I have this fire. And I think most of the guys that we have returning have a fire because, you don't just win the championship and then expect to come back and just, it's going to be easy. We know the road's going to be tough. And again, with some of the people that we lost, I mean, it makes it tougher, but it's not something that cannot be done. And I think that's one thing that we kind of stayed hungry on. And I think that's one of the sayings that we kind of used at the end of the year. I mean, we lost in the big cup, championship game. And we, ultimately accepted that we're not finished. This isn't it. We're ultimately trying to get better. And like I told the guys in the group chat, like, right now without practices and all that set up, you just got to find yourself in the gym. You got to get better. Nobody can really force you to get in the gym to get shots up or work on your defensive slides or do the non-fun things. At the end of the day, in order for our team to be successful, we have to go in and individually get better. So I'm looking forward to the season. Brian can kind of attest to, the people showing up to tryouts, but I'm definitely excited for sure.
Well, I'll tell you what, before you go, Brian,
Yep.
As a coach, having coached some myself, a guy that's kind of like a little bit like Robbie here is I got to coach Leandro Barbosa in the Big Three this year. I mean, oh my God. I went up to him after one game and I actually I'll try to hold this up so you can see this picture. It's one of my favorite freaking pictures that I've ever had in basketball, but it's such a perfect picture to show my feelings about Leandro. I mean, is he a special kid. He's still really quick. The Brazilian blur, and still at 38 years old and all, he still can get by people and do really well. But this was so much fun for me to have this. Let me just try to pull this up here, get to these albums where I am. And somebody happened to snap the picture, but it was after he played a game. He was just outstanding in what he had done. And so I kind of went up to him afterwards, and the first thing out of his mouth, he was apologizing. Oh, coach, I'm sorry. I said, what are you apologizing to me for? I said, we wouldn't have won the game if it wasn't for you. And you're apologizing to me because you didn't think you did one thing the way you should have done it. So I said, no. You're a very special guy. And I got to get this photo up here somewhere and tell us. But so anyway, I went up there, and what I said to him while I'm looking for the picture, I said, Leandro, let me tell you something. If I was coaching in the NBA, okay, if I was coaching in the NBA, This is the picture right here. Let me see if you guys can see that a little bit. I don't know if you can or not. If I'll hold it up to the camera, it's pretty hard with that stupid background that I have.
Oh yeah, you guys
Yeah, you
are
would
head
yeah, the
together.
head to head, yeah.
You see that? With the head? I don't know if
It
you can
blurs
see-
out a little bit, but you can see it.
Yeah.
there, kind of there. Okay.
Yep.
So I said, Leandro, if I was coaching in the NBA, and I had
That's a perfect shot.
15 players like you, I would think I died and went to heaven. I mean, because he's just all about what's the best thing. What can I do to help the team? What do I mean, he's awesome guy. And so seems to me, coach, that you've got a guy in Robby who has that type of an attitude, and as a coach, you can't ask for more than that to have a point guard with the attitude that Robby has. So I commend you on that, Robby.
Hey Rick, well,
Thank you.
I'd say since coming off our championship, I would say if we lost Robby, it would be like losing a Butch Beard. You know, like
Well, yeah, because you listened to me when I talked at the other show and told you that one of the reasons we didn't win the 2 back-to-back championships is because they got rid of Butch Beard.
I do my homework.
Yeah, Butch Beard was an integral part of our success, and letting Butch go really hurt our team. There's no question about it. I mean, we had some other nice players and young player Gus Williams and all, but no, Butch was a smart player, knew how to play the game, and I can guarantee you, I never ever would go any extended period of time with Butch without the ball getting into my hands somehow. He'd find a way to get it into my hands. The coach didn't call plays from the sideline. And if I was going good, I guarantee I was going to have the ball. Butch, and he knew that. And if somebody else was going good, he was just a smart player, an unselfish player. But it's a great analogy. So I certainly think that hopefully the coach won't have to suffer through that, and he'll have Robby back there again, and he can help groom some other young guy to come along and help out as well. And then, sometimes it's good to have 2 guys on the court that, have that kind of an attitude. And so he can groom another guy. And then it's nice to have, 2 point guards on the floor. I mean, I kind of felt like I was a point guard on the floor. I mean, they called me the point forward. And I just told people, I just did a bunch of interviews for the NBA for a bunch of overseas media people today. I spent time doing that. And one of the things I told them, I said, if I came back to play right now and I could come back and play right now, I would be a point guard. I want to control the destiny of my team, and you can't do that without the ball. And I was proud of what I was able to do as a forward, but as a point guard, I could do so much more. So, Coach, tell me about what you think, how things are going.
Yeah, and just to kind of continue with Robby, Robby came to us 3 seasons ago. He had played against us actually, and torched us for 2 years. And, we tried to keep getting him. He's a local Springfield guy. And he is, like Cam said, he's just one of those guys that, he can come in the game and control the tempo of the game, the pace of the game. He's our best on-ball defender. I joke with him. He says he's 5'10". I say maybe 5'9". But he's definitely our best on-ball defender. Last season, and he has the ability to score the basketball, but last season, he really kind of stepped in that role of, hey, I'm going to distribute the basketball. I'm going to make sure my teammates are involved. And like you said, Rick, he probably could have averaged, 18 to 20 points a game and, done that very easily and accepted that role as well, but he understood kind of the overall what he needed to do, and he played that role well. We had some younger guys that came in that, and I know he'll admit to it. We had some younger guys that were probably more athletic at that point in their careers at 23 instead of 28, 29. Some of our older guys, and he really did accept that role, and there were times where down the stretch, he may not have started a game, but I knew Robby was always the guy that would be on the court at the end because, you need those guys to close games out. And, 99% of the time, Robby was that guy on the court, to close the game out in situations just because of his, high basketball IQ and ability to make plays, and more importantly, ability to get his teammates involved and keep them involved, and, as far as the tryouts, we have some, as Robby said, we got some new faces. We got a couple guys that were able to go overseas after last season. Trying to replace a couple guys there, but, so far we've had the guys in the gym, 5-6 times so far, guys that are really hungry and ready to compete and and ready to get that opportunity, and continue the success that we had last year. So that's the biggest thing. And like you and I have talked in previous calls, Rick, like guys that can compete. I mean, like you said, Leandro's, one of those guys that comes out and competes all the time. And, Robby's that same type of player, and our other guys that we have returning, the core guys, that's how they are. And that's what's going to lead us to, our success again this season. So.
How about size-wise? What do you guys got size-wise?
We have a 6'10", Kevin McLaughlin, who's returning. He'll be on a call probably, maybe our next call actually. We have a 6'8" player who played Division I basketball. He's, he was the defensive, he was the center of the year in the ECBL. So, 6'8", he played at Robert Morris. He's kind of trying to figure out his next move. Is going to pursue, we're trying to work on some overseas opportunities for him as well. But as you know, Rick, the clock, there's some of these guys are 26, 27 years old, and that clock that window kind of closes a little bit more and more each year. So, and we have a couple other guys. We have a 7-footer who came to tryouts, a younger 7-footer, 22 years old, still trying to learn the game a little bit. And a couple other guys, 6'5", 6'6". So, the speed of the game, the type of style the game is, it's a really up and down pace. I know you've seen some highlights from our games. And obviously, the ABA style and now into the ECBL. So, we like to push tempo anyway. So, we don't play a lot of times with guys that are too many guys that are 7-footers, because that's not the style. It's get, push the tempo, get in some ball screens, the late action, stuff like that. And get guys on the floor that can score the basketball and make plays for us. So.
Well, it'll be interesting because you still got another tryout coming up, and who knows? You never know who's going to show up at your door.
Exactly. Yep.
So you had some questions for me, Robbie, I see. So why don't you go ahead and ask away?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, you being a Hall of Famer, you playing in the NBA, you basically, lived out the dream that a lot of, kids like myself and younger kids and older adults have, pursued and never really got there. So for me, my first question was, what was your favorite and least favorite part of being a professional basketball player?
I didn't have the least favorite part. Shit, I love playing basketball. The hardest things in the world was well, that's probably one of my least favorite thing about being a professional basketball player was, even though he was a great guy and everything, was Bill Sharman, who started those stupid morning shoot arounds. I hated morning shoot arounds. And I'll tell you why, because here's the deal. I'm going to play. I was playing 40 something minutes a game. Okay. And I wanted to play. I mean, I never wanted to be on the freaking bench. In fact, I hated it when we were blowing people out because I knew I wouldn't get to play that much that night. So he started those morning shoot arounds. And I mean, when I'm playing that much, putting that much energy, and back then we didn't fly on charter airplanes. We used to get done with the game, you fall asleep at 2 a.m. after you find something to eat with your $8 a day per diem. And you get up at 6 o'clock or 5:30 to catch the first commercial flight out to the next city and hope that the uniform that you washed out in the shower the night before will dry before the next game. I mean, that's the kind of life that we had. So it was quite a bit different. And so I hated those morning shoot arounds. And I know why he did it. It was only for one reason back in those days. It was just to get you out of bed so that you didn't spend, the day in bed and all of a sudden you're like, half asleep when you go out to the court. And I'm saying to myself, I said, yeah, but Coach, I said, we can have a meeting in the hotel. Get me out of bed. Let's go have our meeting. We can walk through stuff in a, nice little room that they're having there, and we can accomplish what you wanted to accomplish. But his thing was, oh no, well, I want you, here's the deal. We want to get used to the baskets. We want you to get up and get used to the baskets. So we're in LA and we're staying out of the marina area, one of the hotels, and we're supposed to, playing at, back then they were playing at the I think we were playing down, was it? Let me see with Bill. Yeah, no, we were playing at the Forum. Yeah, no, not the Forum. No, we were actually playing at the Coliseum, down by the Coliseum. It was the old one before they got the Forum. And so we go over to Loyola Marymount. We get on the bus and we go to Loyola Marymount, which is not far from where the hotel was, to go shoot around. So being the smart ass that I was, I said, Coach, I said, are we playing here tonight? He goes, no, of course not. I said, well, then why do I want to get used to these baskets? So, which kind of killed his reasoning for us going out there. But we went with jeans and sneaks. We didn't get dressed up. Wasn't a
Yeah.
full scale workout. Now it's turned into a freaking full scale workout. So the greatest thing of all about that was the next year he leaves after we almost win the championship, and he goes to the Lakers, and now he's down there and he's coaching with, obviously Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, and he's got Wilt joins them, right? So I guess that was the first team that had like, a big three, for doing stuff, to have three great players all playing on the same team. They had some other great players, but as far as guys coming together from another team, bringing in Wilt, and Wilt says to him, Bill, here's the deal. I'm going to show up one time at the arena today. You want me at 10 in the morning or 7 at night?
I like that ultimatum.
I wish I had the guts to have said that, but I was just, I was only a second year player at the time. And so I didn't have them, but that was the perfect way to deal with that. I'm going to show up one time at the arena. When do you want me?
There you go. That's great.
So, but anyway, I really loved the game. I mean, it was hard for me to give it up. And, people ask me, do you miss the game? And I say no. And they look strangely at me. And I said, I know why you're looking strangely. I said, the only reason that I'm saying no is because I never think about it. I said, why would I want to think about the fact that I will never get to do what I love to do so freaking much that I'll never be able to do that again? And so I just don't think about it. I have, fortunately, the ability to compartmentalize things and take stuff and put it on the back burner in your head so you don't think about it. And a lot of people, I wish a lot more people had the ability to do that, because when you go through some difficult times in life, it's great to have that ability so that you don't have to burden yourself with some very difficult situations and things that might be happening in your life. And that's just on a basketball court. I'm talking in life in general. You lose a loved one, things of that nature, you lose your job, whatever it is. If you have the ability to compartmentalize and not let those things beat on you, then you're not going to, be stressed out. And it just makes life a lot easier when you're able to do that. And I was lucky to have the ability to do that.
Robby, do you have another question?
Yeah. I mean, and I love that answer. I mean, first off, it's funny you brought up the morning shoot arounds, because when I was in college, we had to do that from time to time. And I feel like I want to give you 99.9% of the players were like, why are we doing this? Like, we have a game later on, we had a game before, and it was one of those things where we always questioned it. But at the end of the day, ultimately,
copycats. So coaches are copycats, most of them. They copy what somebody else is doing all the time, just like they try to do it when you get the little Muggsy Bogues came in and stuff, and they all try to get these little guys to play. You're not going to win a championship with a freaking 5'6" point guard. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not happening. And so that's kind of what happens. And yeah, it's sad. They did that. But then I'm trying to figure out, well, they copy everything else if they do that, and then they copy something else's success. How come nobody's copying the underhanded free throw? I mean, it worked pretty damn good, I mean,
all right.
It's very difficult.
A lot of guys need some help at the free throw line. I just don't understand it. It's like selective choices as to what you want to copy and what you don't want to copy. But yeah, no, the morning thing didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially, I mean, now, because it's a workout. I mean, it's a full scale workout. Here's the thing about college that I just think it drive me nuts when I go and watch them play now, especially it's worse now than it used to be when my other sons were playing. I go see my son Canyon. They come out in the court right before you're going to have a game. They come out, they warm up and do it. They go back in the locker room. Then they come back on the court and they do something else and they go back in the freaking locker room. I'm saying, what the hell? I mean, I want to get warmed up one time. It's bad enough that when you do a one warm up before the actual game is going to start, that you have to stand around after the national anthem and stand around, and you got loose and you're warmed up, and now you got to stand around and get stiff again before you have to go out and have your jump ball. At least in Europe, what they do over there is after they have their anthems and stuff that they do, they give them a couple more minutes to go out there and get loose again. I mean, that makes some sense. Come out the one time, do your warm-ups, get ready, have your national anthems or whatever you're going to do, whatever festivities, boom, and then, give you 2 more minutes to run and really get loose again. I mean, I just don't, it makes no sense whatsoever to do what they're doing. Get warm, get cold, get warm, get cold. Now, maybe you get away with it because you're 18, 17, 19, 20 years old. Man, when you get older, that's the worst thing in the world. Like I hate when I play in pickleball tournaments now at my age. Oh my God, we play the game. I got to sit for 45 minutes or an hour before I play the next game. I mean, that is so difficult to do that. It is crazy. And that's how you wind up getting hurt. And I have a lot of guys that they walk right back out there on the court. I mean, I'm still going, I'm doing jumping jacks. I'm doing some stretching because I know that if I don't do that, I'm liable to hurt myself. And so anyway, it's really interesting how things happen in life. So anyway,
You're
let's
still
go.
you're still so connected with basketball. You've
Right.
never left the game, honestly.
The thing is I love the game. I love when I was broadcasting and stuff, but I was ahead of my time. Back when I was doing it, they didn't like people telling you the truth and telling you what was really happening. And I said, I'm not a shill here. I'm not out here trying to go ahead and just say nothing but good things. There's good things and bad things that happen in the game, and I'm going to tell you about both of them. And the thing is, I'm not just going to say, and then the guy's gotten rave reviews afterwards after I lost my job. Oh yeah, well he's just being honest. Yeah, but he was being critical to be critical. I wasn't being critical to be critical. I was being critical to be informative and said, oh, well, that's a bad pass. Well, no shit, Sherlock. I mean, everybody in the world knows that was a bad pass. It just bounced off his foot. I said, but the thing is that why was that a bad pass? It was a bad pass because in that situation, you made a pass, not necessarily one bouncing off the foot, but I said, hey, he made a pass that the guy could get his hands on. A bounce pass would have been a more difficult pass for a guy to defend in that situation. He should have thrown a bounce pass. He should have let his guy a little bit more, say why it was a bad pass and what should have been done to make it a better pass and a better play. Now, that's being critical, but you're being critical to be informative. Guys now, terrible pass that was, a terrible play. Yeah, okay, great. Everybody can see that anyway. I mean, don't be the master of the obvious. I can't listen to a lot of guys doing broadcasting games because they're watching a different game than I'm watching, or I guess it's me watching a different game than they're watching because what they see is the obvious. I mean, I'm trying to see the things that aren't so obvious and try to point those out when I was doing it to the fans to be able to teach them a little bit more about the game. And when you do analyst work, there's really a fine line. I can't be so basic that I insult the intelligence of people who know the game because that's boring for them. But I can't be, and there are guys out there, and I won't mention any names, you can't be so damn technical that the person who's the average viewer has no idea what the hell you're talking about. So it's a fine line that you have to try to walk when you do that. But I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed it because I used to do the telestrator before most people used it. And that's a really great opportunity to be able to teach the game a little bit or show people what should or shouldn't be done. Like I used to have directors and they would all have these close-ups. I'd say, listen, stop with the freaking close-ups, will you? I said, I can't help people or explain this game to people if you're showing a replay of a close-up of the guy defending the guy there. I could talk a little bit about what might have happened there, but the reason the play worked is because the guy on the opposite side of the court was over there guarding his man 20 feet from the damn basket when he should have been dropped into the damn box in a position to be help defense, or the guy lost sight of the basketball, he got beat that way. I said, give me a wider shot, because a wider shot gives me a chance to explain what actually transpired on that particular play and who was in the proper position, who was not in the proper position, where they should have been. Now you're teaching somebody about the game and maybe you can enjoy it a little bit more when you watch it. But that close-up stuff that they do all the time is just, it's worthless.
Yeah.
I think that's big too, Rick, because everybody just wants to see the like you said, a lot of, even with like working with high school age kids, these guys, all they want to do is just watch highlights. Nobody wants to actually learn and watch the game of basketball and see those things, and I know, like, even with myself, like coaching, at the high school prep level now, it's tough, because you until you watch film and can really break it down. But a lot of times these guys, even if they're watching games, they don't get that opportunity because, like you said, all it is they show the crossover move 37 times, and then don't show, anything else, or how that guy got set up to make that move offensively, or, talk about the ball movement that got the ball, that man, that open look, so that's definitely huge. And I know it's trickling down even to, and I know Robby works with some younger guys too, how that whole aspect in analysis of the game has completely changed, and guys like you who were able to see the game and really break it down, like that's a lost art, because that's not flashy and that's not what everybody wants to see now, so they don't do it.
Well, it's about being taught how the game was meant to be played. It's fundamentals. And if you don't have good fundamentals, you'll never be as good a player as you should be. There are guys out there playing in the NBA today who are there on sheer incredible athleticism. They're so gifted athletically that they can do things that other guys can't do, and they could play at that level. But as good as they may be, they're never going to be as good as they should be because they don't know how to utilize that God-given amazing talent that they have in ways that would be more beneficial to them and to their team. That's the part that kind of kills me. Because see, I love greatness in everything. I love watching people who are great at whatever it is, whether it's, somebody who's a singer, somebody who's who's a musician, somebody who's great at any sport. I just love greatness. And so it's so disappointing to me when I watch basketball and I see players who were shortchanged basically growing up. I had a kid that was like, I don't know if I told you this one, I know some of the shows you that. I had a kid that was Michael Jordan-esque. Like he was actually Michael's size, height-wise, but bigger and stronger than Michael. I mean, just insanely athletic and no idea how to play. And one of the greatest young men, one of the greatest attitudes, one of the hardest workers I've ever been around. And he was 26 years old at the time. And I said to Clifford Ray, was my sister, like, Clifford, can you imagine what we could have turned this kid into if we had him when he was younger? And he was never, I couldn't even play him. And I couldn't play him on our team because he didn't know how to play. Yet he had all this incredible potential. It was so frustrating to see that. And it just happens so often. I feel so badly for these young people. And that's why I'm not a big fan of AAU basketball, because too many AAU teams are all built upon the athleticism of players and giving these guys a chance. Go out, run faster, shoot, run faster, jump higher, and go use your athleticism, go win a basketball game instead of teaching them how to play the game properly. So I love watching the Warriors, right now. I mean, they're playing so well, and Phoenix is doing a nice job in that area as well, too. Now, nobody's talked about Phoenix. Phoenix has only lost 3 games, 13 in a row they won. I mean, they're playing really well.
Yeah, but yeah, the Warriors this season, Clay coming back, Kaminga looks great. He's huge. Like people talk about like, wings and everything and their length. But I didn't realize how big Jonathan Kaminga was, the rookie that the Warriors drafted.
How tall he is.
I don't know, just wide shoulders. He's like a bigger NBA ready body.
Big when you start talking, that's how big he is. That's LeBron James.
Yeah.
LeBron James in high school was a man child. I mean, there was the only other guy I can remember that was a game by name who played at Georgia Tech with one of my sons down there named James Forrest. He was kind of like a LeBron James kind of body. I mean, unfortunately, he never got better than what he was when he was a freshman in college. But man, I mean, that's big. Okay. Kaminga's got nice size, long arms. But what I like about Kaminga is that he needs to learn how to shoot better. But hey, what better team to be on than to go and practice with Steph and Clay? I mean, you want to learn how to shoot the ball, just go work out with those guys. But the thing that I like about him that I was impressed by was I think he has a really nice feel for the game and he sees the court well and he really gets the ball to people. And that's what I really liked about him. And he's kind of freaky athletic as well. So he's got a chance to be a nice player for them.
Yeah, the right organization, a young guy. I like that.
Well, see, I must be a guard oriented.
It's being the right coach, right?
Yeah,
it's the right coach.
True. Right,
who recognizes your abilities and puts you in and uses your talents in the best way possible to maximize that. And that's the problem that happens on the NBA level too often, is that coaches have their way they want the game played and they force the team to play it that way. And the guy's talent just isn't as good for that as it needs to be able to flourish in that type of a system. And so I'm not a big fan of system coaching. Sorry, coach, I don't know all your stuff, but a system coach. Well, yeah, we've talked about it. The system coach offensively that's crazy. You can have a concept defensively that you want somebody to do, but then again, also, some coaches try to do it like Patino tried to do it, the press and stuff. Well, hey, you can't press if you don't have guys that are really smart.
Yep.
I mean, they might be athletic, but if they're not really super smart about understanding the concepts of pressing, you're going to get crushed. Because I used to love to play against the pressing defense. I mean, it was like a freaking dunking drill. I mean, because if you know how to play, you just crush a team that presses you if you know what you're doing. But it gets back to the fundamentals. A lot of players don't know how to do that. And so therefore, a lot of teams will put pressure on. And that causes a lot of problems because they don't know how to react to it because they don't understand the fundamental things you should do. And I mean, and then they get caught and they make stupid passes and they get picked off. And, so it all comes down to knowing the game and playing the game the right way. And so if you're lucky enough to be on a team where a coach lets you do the things that you can do and it works well. I mean, I was the same way. I wound up my last 2 years. I could have played at least 3-4 more years. And I didn't get to do it because I played on a team that I was willing to accept a subservient role because I wanted to win. It was the most talented team I've ever played on. 2 Hall of Famers, 2 other great players. That's Moses Malone and Calvin Murphy with the Rockets. And then we had Rudy Tomjanovich, who's a hell of a player and shooter and stuff. And Mike Newland, another great shooter and player and young player named Robert Reed and a bunch of other guys. And so I was willing to go there. I didn't shoot the ball that much and averaged like 12, 13 points a game, but I was one of the leaders in assists in the league as a forward on that team. But I was willing to accept that role because it was all geared towards the 2, the 4, and the 5. And I played 3. And especially when I played, I was playing 25 feet from the basket with the ball in my hand, basically playing point forward. And so one game in the 2 seasons I was there, Murph got sick. I love Calvin too. I just was with him recently. And Calvin got sick. And so coach started me at the 2. So now all of a sudden I'm playing the 2 where, the offense is there. I took 25 shots in that game and scored 37 points. So I'm saying, hey, listen, I can do this.
Still got it.
If you want me to do this, I can do this, but you're not asking me to do this. I'm doing what you're asking me to do. But it was probably, like I say, one of the most talented teams I've ever been on, if not the most talented team. But we just didn't have the right system to do the things necessary to utilize the talents of the player. Like I would have posted Mike Newland up all day. He was such a great free throw shooter, but he was really good in the post. He had good size. Never did that. Absolutely never did that. The same way Baron Davis is another guy. I talked to Baron and we went on a cruise together when he was with the Warriors. And I said, Baron, if I was coaching you, I would have posted you up all game long. You had size and strength.
Big body
guard.
So,
thank you. A big body. And he was tough in the post. And if he's abusing somebody inside, what better person to have the ball in his hands if they have to double him than your point guard passing the ball? Seriously. People say, oh, they don't have a low post player. No, it doesn't have to be a center. It doesn't have to be a 6'9", 6'10" guy. I used to post up to 6'2" and 3 guys on the teams I coached in the minor leagues, and they would kill people. So, that's the kind of stuff that always was amazing to me. And even my son Brent, when he played and he was in a game and all of a sudden Muggsy Bogues, I think it was Muggsy Bogues came in as one of the players. How in the world do you not take my son who's 6'6", who has arms that are longer than mine, wingspan, was just really good in the post, great passer as well. He would have abused Muggsy Bogues in the post. If I was coaching against Muggsy Bogues or, any of the other little guys that played in the league, the moment they came in, I'm going to make them pay a price for bringing him in the game. I'm going to post him up every single time and force him to take him out of the game. I'm not going to let him come in and change the tempo of the game. Guys, that's the thing. We were rolling right along and, long-winded and as Irish as I am kissing the Blarney Stone, we just kept talking and we went past the 40-minute time limit. So, but, time flies by when you're having fun, when you're talking about something that you care about. Time just kind of flies by. So, but anyway, let's kind of wrap it up. Robbie, you got any other question you want to do, or what do we got?
I got one more question for sure. Since, just having this conversation, seeing your knowledge, when you played the game of basketball, where you are now coaching the Big 3. I was actually fortunate enough to go to the Big 3 the first time it ever happened. And it was actually really cool. I went to go watch Allen Iverson, but that's a side note. But for me, my question I wanted to ask you is, what is the biggest difference in the game of basketball from, when you played to where we are now, in regards to the culture of basketball?
Well, times change. The culture is totally different, obviously. It's a lot different. The difference in the game is the fundamentals. So many players just are not fundamentally sound that are playing the game today, and that's really kind of sad. And why every coach doesn't try to play the way the game was designed to play, the way I played it when I first came in the league, the way the Warriors played it during their 5-year run, and now playing it again this season. And it seems like, again, the copycat thing we talked about earlier, they're going to start trying to copy that stuff again. But the thing is, you can only copy it if you're smart enough to pick players who know how to play that way, who have the fundamentals. right? You just get the great athletes and they don't have any idea how to do all of that stuff. So they're not going to be anywhere near as effective. So that's kind of what it boils down to. But yeah, I mean, it's a totally different culture. I mean, I can't relate to it, to be perfectly honest with you, because I mean, all we cared about after games, I mean, guys would drink beer at halftime. At the games, they smoking cigarettes at halftime. When I first time I went in the locker room as a rookie, I couldn't believe guys were lighting up cigarettes. It was just totally different than guys would go out and go, drink some beers and stuff after the game and doing it. And now you got more of a problem because kids grow up with the influence of drugs. And so you got to worry about all of that stuff now. And so anyway, it's a bit different. I think we didn't encourage going up and hugging guys before the game from the other team. I mean, it's like everybody's buddy and great. Hey, you know what? I mean, great. Be friends off the court. When you're on the court, you're my opponent. You're my enemy. I mean, I'm sorry, you're not my friend anymore. And I don't know. I just, it seems to me like, and I get, it's great that the guys respect each other, but you also, it's a competitive situation. I mean, this is serious stuff. And I see, so much of that going on. And the other thing I just get part of it, I just wish the officials would call it according to the rule book. Stop the carrying of the basketball, stop the traveling, stop the moving screens. I mean, play the game according to the rule book, for God's sake. I mean, you give such an advantage. And here's the thing that you hear they're talking about now. Here I go long-winded again, but it just popped into my head. They're talking about right now, but the fouls, right? And trying to go ahead and stop putting so many guys at the foul line, let it get a little more physical or whatever, be selective is what you're doing with your calls. Guy flails his arm, doesn't necessarily mean he got fouled, because Harden was great at doing that, drawing fouls. But when it gets down to the physical part of the game, what would happen is that during the regular season, they would call it the way they call it before they put this new rule in, and guys are going to the line a crazy number of times. It was just kind of a joke. I mean, you breathe too hard on the guy and he's at the free throw line. And then the playoffs come. And all of a sudden, what the hell happened to the regular season rule book? All of a sudden, they're complaining about it. Then they see what happens in the playoffs. They're killing each other out there. Two guys crash in the air, both lined up on the floor, and there's no foul. I'm sorry. It's either a charge or a block. It's got to be one or the other. Two guys cannot collide and have no foul called. I mean, something had to happen. And I just go crazy when they do that in the playoffs, because here's the reason why. It doesn't take skill, talent, or ability to hold and grab and push and shove. Anybody can do that. So what you're doing is you're giving a distinct advantage to the less skilled player during the most important time of the season, during the freaking playoffs. I mean, this is why you look back and see, and a good test back when I played, what did the guy do in the regular season? Like even say, what did they do in the regular season? I know. What are they going to do in the playoffs? And it still holds true today, because they let this physical stuff happen. How well does a guy play? What are his averages and his stuff and his stats during the regular season as opposed to the playoffs? Mm-hmm. You have to elevate your game in the playoffs because of the physical contact that's allowed, the advantages they're given to the defense. And it was always interesting, to look and see and see a guy. What did he do in the regular season? What did he do in the playoffs? It gives you a pretty good indication of somebody who's mentally into the game. So anyway, we've talked forever. This has been fun. Great to see you over the internet and on Zoom, and looking forward to seeing you in person when I come out to visit and watch you guys play. Meanwhile, I hope you and your families, everybody that's listening, that they have a blessed and happy Thanksgiving. And we'll probably talk to you before Christmas time comes around.
Yep. It was a pleasure.
And Rick, just one thing, I just want to congratulate you and your son. I know I texted you. Canyon winning the 3-on-3, that's great, obviously for you as a father, but for him as a player as well. So that's a great accomplishment.
And well, he enjoys 3-on-3 because he actually gets to be a part of the team and not just stand in the corner. Like he went back to the Timberwolves, right, to the G League team, and he wasn't going to play, and the coach stuck him in for, I don't know, 4, whatever it might have been minutes. And I told my wife, I said, honey, I bet you never touched the ball. And so she talked to him on the phone. She said, how many times did you have the ball? He said, never.
Did he play in the summer league this year?
No, he didn't get invited to the summer league. My son is, I just don't understand why he's not in the NBA. I mean, this goes back to choices that these people make. My son can play, and I know who can play and who can't play. And if he couldn't play, I would tell you, hey, my son sucks. Or he can't play worth the shit. Excuse my language. And but he can play. And to see guys out there making $5, $6, $7 million, $8 million a year who shoot in the 20s from threes, from the high 30s, low 40s from twos, and 60-70% from the free throw line, making that kind of money, when they get my son, who's a 40% 3-point shooter, a high 40s to 52-point shooter, and an 85 to 90% free throw shooter, and you can get him for a minimum contract. What are you, out of your freaking mind? What are you doing, wasting all that freaking money on guys that can't play? If a guy in the NBA today who's a wing player can't shoot over 30% from threes, he has no business being on your basketball team because he's a liability.
Couldn't agree more. Absolutely.
Great.
I mean, I wish the Zombies had a little more. He can come out and play with the Zombies. If needed.
Right?
We always got a spot.
Absolutely.
I'll make sure he touches the ball. I'll make sure he touches the ball.
You would love playing my son. He is the ultimate team player. I mean, all my boys are that way, almost unselfish to a fault. But Canyon is that way. Like, even I'm watching with the 3x3 that you just brought up, which so people understand, it was called the America Cup, which is competition between North America, Central America, and South America, and Central America. And there was 3x3 competition. He was on the USA national team, and they went undefeated. They won the gold medal, and now they qualify for the World Cup. It takes place next year. And Canyon was lucky enough a couple summers ago to be on the first gold medal winning team in 3x3 basketball for the USA. They had never won a gold medal in 3x3. And they won that gold medal back then. And then he made the qualifying team, and unfortunately he got hurt 2 days before they had to go to qualifying, when they had to come in third or better, and they lost in the quarterfinals. But he didn't get to play after being chosen to be on that team. So that was just a heartbreak for probably more for me, I think, than for him. But there's something special about having USA in your chest. I only had it one time in college, played against the Russian team, the Soviet Union at the time, that came over, and I played in Butler Fieldhouse. And I didn't even start the game. I was All-American leading scorer in the nation. I didn't start because it was all the Big Ten guys got started. But it was still kind of cool. And then we won the game. But even before the game, when they played, we didn't give out medals and stuff. But I imagine with a medal on the Olympics. But even standing there with the national anthem played, it's the most emotional I've ever was at a national anthem, because I was there with USA on my chest. I was representing our amazing country. And there's just something really special about that. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, anyway, all the best, guys. Happy holidays.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
You as well.
Take care, Rick.
Bye-bye.
Take care, Coach. Take care, Cam.
Hey, Robbie.
Righty. See you, Robbie. Thanks,
Bye.
Brian.